Mariah Armstrong, and this is my TED Ed video over goal setting. So, first, we're going to start with what goal setting is and what a goal actually is. A goal is a future oriented desire that guides behaviors in a specific way. A goal takes your present state and motivates oneself to reach that ideal state that we're looking for. Goal setting is taking those specific goals and using them to reach the ideal state we are hoping to achieve. And that having goals that are specific, difficult, and congruent help enhance our performance. This last point is a quote from the article that I read, and it says, "Goals are at the same time an object or an outcome to aim for and a standard for judging satisfaction. To say that one is trying to attain a goal of X means that one will not be satisfied unless one attains X." And I took this really as once you set a goal, you're most likely to work as hard as you can to achieve that goal, and that you won't be satisfied until that goal has that you have achieved that goal or that goal has come about. The next slide is how does goal setting come about, or how does it start? Goal setting is established when there is a certain accomplishment one's trying to achieve, or when you're trying to match your ideal state of mind. Two examples I chose were getting a certain GPA or losing weight, and I will actually go into detail more later about one of those. In more basic terms, goal setting happens when there's a desired experience to be had. In the book, it states that goals generate motivation, but motivation is not the only cause of underlying performance. And this just says that outside factors, such as social factors, along with your natural ability, any training that you've had, or the resources around you, can really, really help to generate your goals and get you to your goals rather than just motivation. What goes along with goal setting? Goal setting can be made up of several different aspects that all work together to accomplish what you're looking for. Difficult, specific, and self concordant goals do help enhance behavior and help us to reach our goals. Another important aspect of goal setting is to pay attention to feedback and goal conflict. Feedback is the information about the goal and about how you're trying to achieve this goal from the people around you to help better your efforts in achieving the goal. And goal conflict can be when people set more than one goal at a time. At times, your attention can be set more on one goal than the other, and then the other goal, you have a harder time achieving that goal because you're not paying as much attention to it. Um, Goals have four mechanisms used to affect performance. They serve as a directive force, they have an energizing function, they affect persistence, and they affect action. The next slide is what does goal setting predict will happen next. Long-term goal setting is important in the prediction of what will happen to our goals. Long-term versus short-term goals, which I'll talk about this a little bit as well later, but short-term goals sometimes are easier to achieve than a long-term goal because long-term goals can be very overwhelming. So setting multiple short-term goals can be slightly easier. Goals generate the motivation that we need to complete certain tasks. Goal setting gives some people the motivation and the tools that they need to become their ideal selves, and that it predicts that there will be a more positive outcome if the goal is met. The final point, it says really that you've set this goal and you've worked really hard to accomplish it, and in the end, once you've accomplished it, you are most likely to have a more happy and positive outcome because you've accomplished this goal. The example that I chose is losing weight. So you start by defining your goal, and it starts by comparing your present state to your ideal state that you'd like to reach. So maybe you want to lose 20 pounds and go from 160 to 140. Once you set your goal, you use different steps to achieve that goal. So as far as weight loss, maybe you start meal prepping, you work out multiple times, or you give up soda and sweets to help you attain this goal. Goal setting can give you motivation and the drive to complete the goals that you want or achieve those goals. Goal setting gives you the tools that you need to reach the goals that you set. And once you've reached that goal, a lot of times you feel very happy and accomplished that you've attained that goal. How does this apply to your life? Goal setting is very important in everyday life. Goals work with our natural ability, the training that we have, and the resources around us to help us reach our goals. This quote is also from an article that I read, and it's making a public commitment to a goal enhances commitment, presumably because it makes one's actions a matter of integrity in one's own eyes and those around you. So if you make a commitment in front of other people, you're more likely to commit to complete this goal because you want to prove to yourself and to everyone around you that you were able to do it. Committing to goals is more important is most important when achieving those goals takes time, effort, and are slightly more difficult because you take the time to complete this goal that may be more difficult, but you are also proving to yourself that and to others that because it was more difficult, you were still able to complete it in the end. The empirical article that I used is titled Employee Engagement and Goal Setting Theory. It's an experimental research article. The characteristics of the sample were that 149 employees were taken from public and private job sites. The average age of the participants were 42, and 20% of the participants were female. The constructs measured were that goal setting is a predictor of employee engagement, and does employee engagement lead to more positive outcomes and enhanced performance? The results of the article were that goal setting theory is positively affecting employee engagement. Working together, those two influence performance of employees. And though those two concepts are related, they are significantly different when it comes to the mean and the standard deviation when written out in the table and how they work to engage employees. The hypothesis was confirmed because goal setting theory is a strong predictor of employee engagement. The limitations were that data was collected on a basis of convenience so that the results were not easily generalized because not all workplaces give their employees goal oriented tasks, and so they can't say that all workplaces are the same because not everyone gets goal oriented tasks in their workplace. How is this useful to you? Goal setting can be important for helping reach the potential that you strive for. When you, in a workplace setting, goal setting can be helpful to making employees have higher performance and making the workplace a better environment because it does say that when there's higher performance, there is better attitudes and higher positivity in the workplace, which is good for everyone around. This quote is from my empirical article, and it says managers and practitioners can give their employees goal-oriented tasks to make them engaged. And it pretty much just says that having goal-oriented tasks help them engage because they're using these tasks to reach the goal and they see why the tasks are useful to reaching their goal. The three strategies that I have to motivate others are that setting multiple short-term goals can help reach a long-term goal more effective. Using task-oriented goals help with engagement, and using feedback will help with orientation of goals. The first strategy is that multiple short-term goals can help better than a long-term goal. Sometimes long-term goals are very overwhelming, like I said earlier, and at times having multiple short-term goals to reach that long-term goal can be more effective. The second strategy is that task-oriented goals are helpful to keep you engaged. I found that this can be very true in the workplace environment and also in a classroom setting. In a classroom setting specifically, if a student is given a task-oriented goal, they're more likely to be engaged in that task because they know what the end product is going to be. My last strategy is that feedback is important for bettering yourself. Taking others' opinions into account can be helpful in accomplishing your goals, and without feedback, the performance can be uninvolving and it's not as important in accomplishing the task. So, taking people's feedback is important because they may see different parts of the goal that you haven't seen yet that will help you accomplish that goal in the end. My final thoughts are that overall, I think goal setting is important for bettering oneself. Setting smaller goals can be helpful, and I've learned a lot that goal setting is important in college careers and in everyday life. I've used it a lot in college, setting smaller goals to hopefully reach my long-term goal, which is graduation in the spring. And that bettering yourself is important to everyone, whether they realize it or not, or whether they like to think that or not, and that setting goals can really help you aid in that. These are my references, and I hope you guys have enjoyed my video. Thanks for watching.